Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to our student panel part of the program. This is your opportunity to be able to ask questions of our student panelists. So very much a Q&A session. This session belongs to you. My name is Dr. Janet Astle. I am the Assistant Dean for Student Services for the School of Pharmacy at Duquesne University. I am a licensed pharmacist and I am a graduate from the School of Pharmacy. And I'm being joined today by Dr. Monica Scomo.
Hi, everyone. I am Monica Scomo. I am Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Assessment here in the School of Pharmacy. And as Dr. Astle just said, we are very excited for you to be here today. I'm a pharmacist as well, and I am also a graduate of the Duquesne University School of Pharmacy. And we're being joined by multiple students in our program today. So Dr. Astle is going to have them introduce themselves.
And so I am going to introduce our student panelists. I want to remind you that the Doctor of Pharmacy degree program is a 2-4 program. So students spend 2 years as pre-professional students and then 4 years in the professional phase of the program. So let me begin by introducing our students. They're going to tell you where they are from and what year they are in the program. So I'm going to begin with Carla Daniel.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carla. I'm originally from East Liverpool, Ohio, and I am in my 4th year in the professional phase, so my last year of pharmacy school on rotations.
Thank you, Carla. Next, we have Victoria Databo.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria. I'm from Buffalo, New York originally, and I'm also in my 4th year of pharmacy school on my last year of rotations.
Next, we have Cameron Vicera.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Cameron Vicera, and I'm also a 4th year pharmacy student, and I am from Plano, Texas.
Skylar Kokosinski.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name's Skylar Kokosinski. I'm in my 3rd professional phase year, and I'm actually from Pittsburgh, right, like 10 minutes away in Robinson Township. So,
thank you, Skylar. Next, we have Cheryl Joseph.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cheryl Joseph. I'm from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. It's like half an hour from Philly, just so you have an idea. I'm also in my 3rd professional year. Thanks.
Thank you, Cheryl. Elena Costa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elena. I am originally from Chicago, Illinois, and I'm in my 2nd year of the professional program.
Thank you, Elena. Melanie O'Shea.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melanie. I'm from East Fishkill, New York, and I'm in my 2nd professional year.
Thanks, Melanie. Kaye Harrison.
Hi, can you all hear me first?
You're a little bit soft.
A little bit soft. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kaye Harrison. I'm from Salisbury, Maryland, and I'm a PY1.
Thank you, Kaye. Anais Halfman.
Hi, everybody. My name is Anais. I am in my 1st year of professional pharmacy school, and I'm from Daisytown, PA. It's about an hour south of Pittsburgh.
So I'm going to begin by asking a few questions of our panelists, and then we're going to open it up to the group so you all have a chance to ask those burning questions that you have on your mind. We are going to ask you when you have a question to please use the Q&A feature rather than the chat feature in your Zoom. So let me begin, and I'm going to first ask Skylar to address this question. Many of our students are involved in student organizations. Student organizations are voluntary, but we have approximately 17 different student organizations in which our students can become involved. The student organizations give students the opportunity to practice their skills, get engaged with the community, network with one another, and participate in professional organizations and meetings, both within the state and across the country. So obviously students have to juggle this with their own academics, but it gives them an opportunity to really expand their options. So I'm going to ask Skylar to comment on her involvement in a student organization.
All right, well, like Dr. Astle stated, there's so many organizations that Duquesne Pharmacy has available, ranging from like, there's so many acronyms, so I don't even want to talk about it, but there's also organizations, and there's our Greek Life, that's like our pharmacy Greek Life. So I'm actually the president of Kappa Epsilon, and I just want to say it's very difficult to juggle both, obviously, but it makes it so much worthwhile. And the networking opportunities, you get to meet so many people from across the United States. Like even in mine, it's like we have these conferences that yearly you get to meet, network, do all that fun jazz. As long as like it's also a great opportunity to increase your CV when you're trying to apply for residencies or get a job. It's just an awesome way to get involved and all that fun stuff. So I like highly recommend it. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. We can talk more about it if you guys want to.
So student organizations represent a lot of different special area interests in pharmacy. Some of them are more general in nature, but we have organizations that are dedicated to perhaps pediatric care. We have organizations that focus on geriatric practice. We have organizations that focus on industry or managed care. So we have organizations that are more general, but again, are more focused depending on people's area of interest. Cheryl, maybe you would like to comment as well. Cheryl is involved in our industry pharmacy organization. So Cheryl.
Hi, yeah, so like Dr. Astle said, I'm the current president of Duquesne's IPHO, which is the Industry Pharmacist Organization. The organization is actually pretty new to Duquesne, so it's really exciting that we were able to like find an organization that fits this niche for students. Right now, our organization, we're working on something really exciting. We're competing in a national competition with all the other chapters, and we're focusing on all the different components of drug development. So then all the students in the club get to experience all the different parts of industry, and essentially they get to wet their feet and learn more about the different components they're interested in to prepare them if they like would want to apply for a fellowship, or if they think industry is for them. It's a really good experience for them. And more than that, we network with all our different chapters, the national president and founders coming to speak to our organization next month. It's doing a lot of good things for students who are interested in industry, and I'm really excited about it.
Thanks, Cheryl. We have a question. And Skylar, I think you could address this one. Can you join the organizations in the pre-professional phase?
Yeah, so the other organizations like the one Cheryl's in, or APHA, another one that I'm in, you actually can't, but that are actually our Greek pharmacy ones, you are able to join the pre-professional phase. So it's really nice that you get to get into some of the organizations, meet some of like sisters, brothers, depending on which one you join. There's co-ed ones. You get to start your networking opportunities already within the first year. So
yes, so some of the professional organizations are limited to the professional phase, but all of our social Greek organizations that are professional in nature, again, so they're dedicated just to pharmacy, do allow for folks in the pre-professional years to join. Our umbrella organization that is called the American Pharmacists Association Academy of Student Pharmacists does also allow for some membership in the pre-professional years. So yes, some of the organizations do. And we certainly encourage students to get involved. It is just a wonderful way to get to know one another, to network and honestly expand your opportunities for career paths down the road, because you get to network with practitioners as well. All right, good. I'm going to shift a little bit and talk briefly about the rotation selection process and what the rotations look like. So rotations are field experiences, and every school of pharmacy, in order to meet accreditation guidelines, must provide field experiences, which is a really great way to become a healthcare professional. There's nothing like field experiences. And so what I want to talk about then is what that rotation schedule looks like. At the end of the first professional year, students spend a rotation in a community pharmacy practice setting. At the end of the second professional year, students will spend a rotation in an institutional pharmacy setting, which in most cases would be a hospital pharmacy. At the end of the third professional year, students begin selecting rotations in the fourth and final year of the program. That final year of the program is dedicated solely to rotations. So students spend a total of 35 weeks in the field, 7 different rotations, and these rotations are approximately 5 weeks in length. So what I would like to do right now is talk or ask some of our panelists to talk about the kinds of rotations that they selected, very briefly provide that overview, but also really talk about the rotation selection process, because that is very unique to Duquesne University. So I think I'll call on Carla. If you could talk about your experiences, Carla, the rotations that you're engaged in this year, and again, how you went about selecting those rotations.
Sure. So I think it's important to highlight the differences between Duquesne's rotation selection processes and a lot of different pharmacy schools. Through my rotations, I was able to interact with students who attended different universities and kind of ask them about their rotation selection. And typically what happens at other schools is you have a list of rotations that you want to complete in your final year. You rank all of them, and then they're kind of randomly generated and assigned to you. At Duquesne, the process is a little bit different. Every student is assigned a lottery number, and there are different phases in which you are able to pick your rotation. So you have to have 2 faculty rotations. So that's the first part of the rotation selection, and using your lottery number, you go in order and are able to select your faculty rotations. You also have to have 4 other required rotations, 2 in a hospital setting, an acute care rotation in a regular hospital setting, ambulatory care, which is more outpatient, doing a lot of patient interactions in ambulatory care settings, and then a community pharmacist setting. And then you also have the opportunity for elective rotation. So if you're interested in oncology and you don't really know if you're ever going to get the chance, you can take an elective oncology rotation. So I think that Duquesne's process really takes into account the students' preferences, and they have their calendar, they go in whenever they're assigned, and they get to pick, hopefully, whatever rotation they're interested in for that specific time period. So altogether, you have 7 rotations. And personally, the first rotation that I had was an elective rotation, and Dr. Astle was the preceptor. Myself and Cameron, who's another panelist, it was with the Institute for Research and Education and Training in Addiction, which is an organization based in Pittsburgh. And we learned a lot about people with substance use disorders, which was really exciting and very unique opportunity. Also, it was previously only for med students, but Dr. Astle campaigned for us to let pharmacy students in on the experience. So Cameron and I really enjoyed that. My second rotation was with the Cleveland Clinic, and it was a research-based rotation. My third was with Select Specialty Pharmacy, and it is actually a long-term acute care facility. The whole hospital is one hallway, and there's only 25 patients, but that was also a very unique experience for me. My fourth was at a compounding pharmacy. So I learned how to work in the compounding lab and make different types of medications. my 5th was actually in Phoenix, Arizona. I was at a specialty pharmacy, so I was able to travel to Phoenix, even with everything going on. Luckily, they took the proper precautions during COVID, and I was able to go and complete that specialty rotation. And then my last rotation is actually a 10-week combined rotation with another one of our professors, Dr. O'Neill, and it is at a long-term care facility, skilled nursing facility, and a hospital, because I'm personally very interested in geriatric care. So I was able to kind of cater my preferences throughout my rotation year and kind of pick different things that I was a little bit interested and then really interested in. So I think Duquesne does a really great job. And also there are different rotations that you can apply to and get accepted for. So everything comes together during your 5th year. They give you a lot of lectures, a lot of opportunity to learn about how the rotation process is. It kind of seems overwhelming at first, but it all works out.
Thank you, Carla. You provided a really nice overview. I have nothing to add. Victoria, do you just want to simply comment on the rotations that you selected for this year and you know, which ones you're involved in and what you have coming up?
Sure, yeah, so just to kind of emphasize what Carla said, it's really great that you're able to select your own schedule, because especially even in terms of location as well, like if you wanted to do all of them like very close to home, depending on how far you live from Duquesne, and then also, or if you wanted to go wherever you have the opportunity to do that. So for example, I did most of my rotations in Pittsburgh. I did what's called like a mini residency with a hospital called West Penn Hospital in the area. So I got to do, see like their inpatient pharmacy. I got to do an internal medicine rotation. And then I also got to work in their ambulatory care clinic and work with patients with a lot of different conditions and help manage their therapies. Then I also did an inpatient psychiatry rotation with one of our professors, Dr. Tomko. That was really interesting because I'm interested a lot in psychiatry. So it was great to get that experience through that rotation. Then I did a rotation at the Cleveland Clinic. That one was called pharmacogenomics, which is kind of a newer area in pharmacy, but it was really interesting. You may have heard the term personalized medicine, basically looking at people's genetic information and helping to determine which medications might work better for them. And then also, I'm currently on a rotation in a community pharmacy with one of our professors. It's part community, part like corporate chain pharmacy. And then next I'll be doing a specialty rotation to finish out my year.
Thank you, Victoria. I'm going to move into a little bit of a different area now. One of the things that is really unique to Duquesne University is that we have all of our students participate in a class professional development and advocacy trip to Washington, D.C. And we require all of our students to complete this as a condition for graduation, and students are involved in active advocacy. So the students are prepared in advance. They learn how to advocate on behalf of our patients, on behalf of the public health, and on behalf of our profession. And we actually meet with legislators on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. So every student is required to meet with at least one representative and one senator and talk about, again, these issues that are very important to the public health. So I wanted to ask maybe some of our students to talk about their experience with the class trip. This would be our students in the third and fourth professional year of the program. Our younger students have not yet had a chance to participate in that. So I'm going to pitch this question to Cameron and ask her to comment on her experience.
Okay, so I did not go with my class originally just because I was in athletics, but I was able to go the next year. And it was a really fun experience. We got to travel together with some of the professors, and we also got to travel around DC and got to go to museums and stuff. But it was really cool to learn about the different issues that are amongst the pharmacy profession. So we got to learn more about that and how to convey that to someone like a legislator We got to get split into different groups. So since I'm from Texas, I got to go with representatives from Texas. And then we got to go with another group, a House and a Senate. And then we were able to talk with them, explore DC. But actually also with this trip, I got extra experience because through one of the organizations, PPA, or we got to go to Harrisburg, which is in the capital of Pennsylvania, and also advocate for pharmacy. So you get a lot of different experiences talking with very important people and really learning about pharmacy as a whole, but instead of just the medication. So it was a really cool experience.
Thank you, Cameron. I don't know if any of the other PY3 or PY4 students want to comment on the class trip at all.
Yeah, I'll say, oh, sorry, you can go.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say that it was really nice that we also had the opportunity to collaborate with members of the law school at Duquesne University. So I actually still talk to the law student that was in my group when we went to DC. So it was really nice to talk to people with other professions as well.
I was just going to go off on what Carla said with the law students, but it's really neat to, in my position, I work in an independent pharmacy as my side job, my internship. And since it was an independent, what we were doing at the time was something about pharmacy benefit managers. And it was just nice being able to actually advocate for something that I'm very familiar with reimbursement rates. And then even I know the class before us advocated for interns actually vaccinating, which right now during the pandemic, we're able to do that. So it's nice to see your actions actually taking place in the law. So that it's good to keep up with advocating for the pharmacy.
Great, thank you. And then I'm going to ask one last question and then really open it up to all of our participants here in this particular session. Tell me a little bit about study abroad experiences. And Elena, I think you can comment on that.
Yeah, so my sophomore year, it was the second year of the pre-professional phase for me. I went on a spring breakaway trip to Rome. So instead of going abroad for a whole semester, I chose to take a class that fulfilled one of my gen ed requirements. It was, I think, for faith and reason. And the class was history of Christianity. So the way that these classes work, instead of your traditional going abroad for the whole semester and taking different classes in or taking classes in a different country, this was class time was all here at Duquesne University on campus. We took classes for the first half of the semester. We met with our professor and we kind of prepared to go to Rome. And he kind of gave us background, what we were going to be seeing while we were there. So then once you're visiting the sites, you have all that background information that you need. And it kind of makes it more insightful, I thought, just having that background before I went. And then you go on the trip for a week during spring break. And after spring break, you still meet with the class. I'd say it kind of winds down after that. You do most of your projects around spring break or before spring break, but then we still had to do some final projects to finish up. But you come back and you still meet with the professor and you kind of reflect on your experience traveling abroad and just kind of finishing up those projects there.
So thank you, Elena. So we also offer, in addition to these study abroad experiences that are coordinated, first of all, through the university. And second of all, we have an elective opportunity that typically occurs as well in the summer. But we have a rotation that we host as in that last year, in the PY4 year, where students, and normally we send anywhere between 2 to 4 students, so nobody's doing this alone, and have the opportunity to spend a good 5 weeks in a pharmacy over in Italy, in Perugia, Italy. And so some of that time is spent in a community pharmacy setting, and some of that time is spent in a hospital pharmacy setting. So there are multiple opportunities to do study abroad experiences, whether it's through the university, whether it is as a course elective that is being led by a faculty member at the School of Pharmacy, or whether it is one of those advanced pharmacy practice experiences, or what we call rotation. So I see a question in the Q&A. During rotations, what are the various responsibilities? Are you required to write papers or anything like that? Or are you just doing something similar to on-the-job training or a residency? So perhaps one of our students would like to field that question.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
So every rotation, we have specific assignments for each type of rotation. So like Carla was saying, a hospital rotation, there's 2 different ones. So each one comes with different projects, or electives, you only do 3 specific projects and then other activities and a reflection. So you are responsible for that. Some of your preceptors will kind of guide you through it. So by week 2, you have to get your journal club done or something like that. Other times it's just your responsibility to do it on your own. But you also do the on-site things they want you to do. They'll make you, not make you, but you have to do a patient case presentation. So you find a patient that you think is interesting, go over everything that goes with that patient, and then do a disease state that they have and do an overview of the treatments, and then kind of tie it back to your patient. And I'm trying to think of other ones. You have to do like clinical interventions that you make during your rotation. And then I know me personally, I still worked and I still study for the NAPLEX because we have different, after each 5-week rotation, we have to take little quizzes. So over a section of the NAPLEX book. So it's a lot your last year because you're doing everything that goes with your rotation, working if you do work, and then studying as well to kind of help you at the end of your career of a pharmacy student. I don't know if anyone else has anything else to add.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that Cam said. I guess it just really depends on the preceptor, because some will almost essentially have you doing exactly what they do. Especially one rotation that I had, they just had me start off by shadowing like all their appointments. And then by the end, I was leading them completely with my preceptor, just sitting in the background of like watching me, like giving me feedback on everything that I did. And then in addition, we had those other assignments like we've been throughout the course of the rotation. By this week, you have to present a journal article or case presentation like Cam was saying, and then they also would integrate their other assignments too, like if there's something specifically that the site needed that they would ask you to do. Like for my internal medicine rotation, they wanted me to look into this one protocol for like their migraine treatment, and so I did a bunch of research on that, and then I presented an in-service, as I called, to the pharmacists in the inpatient pharmacy, so that if those questions came up later, they kind of had some background information after the presentation that I gave.
Great, thank you, Victoria. I'm seeing more and more questions coming now into our Q&A, and I'm gonna bundle a few of these together because there is a common theme. And the questions are, what internship opportunities are available? Could we talk a little bit about internships? And one that's associated and I think is very nicely aligned, is there also time to have a job while you're in school?
I can answer that one. So recently, I actually just got an internship at Mercy Hospital. If you're familiar with Pittsburgh area or have even been to Duquesne before, you know that Mercy is literally right next to campus. So it's definitely really nice to have. So with that, it's a paid internship. So I also get to get money with it. So that's also my job. But in addition to that, I'm also a tour guide on campus. Hello, if you've seen me before. I'm probably have given some of you guys tours because I give tours to pharmacy students all the time. So if I know you, hello. But it's really, I personally think that it's not that bad balancing 2 jobs plus doing school. If anything, I feel like it motivates me more to do schoolwork because in my free time, it gives you a lot of opportunities with time management skills in general, because you have to figure out how to balance jobs and then also your schoolwork and also a social life. And with that organization skills, you can definitely use that in the future in your practice and everything. And just throughout the future of your school career and also your career in general whenever you graduate. So yeah, in general, it's really, I personally don't think that it's that hard to balance a job, especially if you only do 1 job. And a lot of internships in the city are paid. That's a huge advantage of coming to Duquesne, and in general is because we're in the middle of basically in the middle of downtown. So there are tons of hospitals in the area, and just a ton of pharmacies in the area in general that you could get an internship at. Even you could get a pharmacy technician position as early as your freshman year of college. I know a lot of my friends did that. I have a couple of friends that even work at the Giant Eagle or like a Rite Aid, a Walgreens back at home, and they just work as a tech. And that still gives you a ton of job experience, and you can talk to the pharmacist there and everything. So it's, overall, it is really easy to have a job and also balance your schoolwork. And it's definitely a huge benefit to coming to Duquesne and being in the middle of the city that you have all those different opportunities for internships and tech positions in general.
I'll add to that. So once you enter your like professional phase of pharmacy school, that's when you're able to get be a registered pharmacy intern in the state of Pennsylvania. And that's where you can log your hours. I know for the state of Pennsylvania, you no longer have to log your hours. However, if you do want to go to a different state, they might have different requirements. But usually once you hit your first year of professional school, you can register as a registered pharmacy intern in the state of Pennsylvania.
I'll also just quickly add, personally, I never worked in a pharmacy ever, never until I was in my first year of pharmacy school. And I was placed at a independent pharmacy for one of my rotations. And then through that opportunity, I was able to get some experience. And then eventually I was hired on at that independent pharmacy that I was placed at through Duquesne. And that's not necessarily always the case, but when you do have these initial experiences through the rotations at Duquesne, you can network, you can talk to the hiring manager if you're placed at a CVS or a Rite Aid and see, different opportunities that are available throughout the area. So that's also a good way to learn about internships.
And a couple other questions. Thank you, Carla, for that. A couple other questions too that popped up. What year can you start an internship? In the state of Pennsylvania, and this does vary from state to state, but I think Pennsylvania is probably pretty consistent with many other states. You are eligible to apply for a pharmacy intern license once you are formally enrolled or matriculated into an accredited school of pharmacy, and once you have completed a minimum of 2 pre-professional years. So what does that mean? That means after you complete your sophomore year, you typically can begin the application process for a pharmacy intern license. So that's technically when you can begin an internship. Now, many other employers will hire pre-professional students as pharmacy technicians. So you can begin getting some experience in a pharmacy right from the get-go, but formally once you begin that first professional year. And how do you learn about internships? So multiple ways. A great way for employment is just to do a really good job on your rotation, because a rotation is almost like a job interview. Folks get to know you, you get to know them, and a lot of times they will offer you employment once that rotation has been completed, and such is the case for many of our students. In addition to that, when we get requests from employers, we will regularly communicate that to our students. We'll do that through postings on our Blackboard, which is a learning management system that we are currently using. We will send out email notifications to students. In addition to that, the university hosts career or job fairs, and we do have employers that participate in those job fairs, both for career opportunities for our graduating students, but also for internship opportunities. The university also uses a platform called Handshake. And we encourage all of our students to register through Handshake. And through Handshake, employers post opportunities, students can post CVs and resumes and make connections with potential employers. So I would say there are multiple opportunities and ways and methods in which we let students know about different opportunities for internships that are available. So follow-up question, do you recommend getting experience working at a pharmacy in your pre-professional years? And I don't know if maybe one of our students would like to comment on that.
I can answer that question. I actually started working as a technician my sophomore year of college, so the semester before entering the professional phase. And I'm actually really glad that I did that because it gave me an opportunity to talk to the pharmacists that I worked with and like ask them questions about the profession. Like, oh, do you like your job? Like, what did you do before this? Like all this kind of stuff, and like asking all those background questions. And so I thought that was very helpful. Not only that, but it also helped me a lot in school, like especially as I started the professional phase. Like there were some things that I learned in school that I could apply to my job, or some things that I learned on the job that I could apply to school. Like, for example, we took pharmacy law in our first professional year, and a lot of those laws can be really confusing, but then some things I was able to apply to, like, oh, this is what we do at work. So like some of those questions were a little bit easier. So I think if you can, if you're able to, like, especially in terms of like time management and all that, if you're able to and a job is available, then I would definitely recommend it. But, you know, obviously grades come first. So if it's any impact on your grades, then obviously talking to your manager about like your hour requirement and things like that. But I would definitely recommend it if you're able to.
There's another advantage as well too. When you're working a job, it is a great opportunity to take what you're learning in your classwork and be able to apply it to the practice setting. So it really enhances your education in a very profound way. So making those connections between theory and practice are huge. And I can tell you that students who do spend some time in a pharmacy, and you do have to be careful about how many hours you are working, you know, really find that connection to be helpful in the classwork. Because once you have talked to a patient who perhaps is experiencing the disease state or using the medications that you're learning about in theory, boy, does that help you in terms of making that connection and committing it to long-term retention. So those advantages are huge, and they're probably not as tangible or something that we normally talk about, but it can be extremely helpful in your classwork. I don't want to lose sight of one of the earlier questions because we've been talking so much about internships, but Lauren had a question, are there Maymester opportunities available for pharmacy students? And Elena, maybe you could comment on that.
I believe there were like a few opportunities back when I was a freshman, sophomore. I remember there was one specific one that the health sciences schools were pushing for us. I think it was to go to Australia actually for the month of May/June. That's not something I really looked too much into. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go away for a whole month, but I know it is definitely possible with our curriculum because usually those classes help fulfill the core requirements before you get into the professional phase. So it's definitely an opportunity for you if that's something you're looking to do.
Yes, and I think those opportunities are available for the PY1, PY2 students or pre-professional students in particular. And so as a freshman, as a sophomore, those opportunities would be available. And Aeneas, I saw you kind of unmute there, so I think that maybe you have a comment to make to that as well. And I would encourage you, when you go back to the main platform, that you go log into the School of Pharmacy chat room and visit perhaps our academic advisement room. Julie Mihalsic is the pre-professional academic advisor, and she certainly could provide you a lot of details about the Maymester opportunities. So she would be your best resource. But Aeneas, if you would like to comment, please.
Yeah, so I actually was going to do a Maymester from my sophomore year going into my junior year of college, but unfortunately that was right whenever COVID hit, so that was all canceled. But I can still talk about how the process kind of went. So whenever I was initially interested in it, I did talk to Mrs. Mihalsic because she was my academic advisor at the time in my pre-professional years. And then we kind of figured out a plan on how to schedule my classes, and I was going to go to Tanzania. So with Tanzania, I was actually able to fulfill two of my core requirements. I was going to fulfill my global diversity and my faith and reason course. So with that, it allowed a lot of wiggle room in my schedule, because I also actually took physics over the summer going in between my freshman and sophomore year of college, just because I wanted to open up my schedule a little bit more. So with the Maymester, it actually opened up my sophomore year schedule a whole ton, and I was able to actually complete a minor. I only need to take one more class for it. I'm a healthcare ethics minor. So if you are able to afford it, I highly recommend doing a Maymester, just because it does allow a little bit more wiggle room in between your classes, even though I personally wasn't able to go to Tanzania, which is a bummer. But I still highly recommend looking into it in general, and hopefully COVID will be gone by then, so that you guys can actually enjoy it and actually go. But yeah, I highly recommend looking into Maymester and talking to Mrs. Mihalsic if you're interested in that, because she was super, super helpful.
And then if it's all right if I jump in real quick.
Yeah, please.
I just remembered this. The School of Pharmacy offered like scholarships almost to the pharmacy students who wanted to do spring breakaways. So I believe I got like a nice chunk of money taken off of the cost of the trip just for being in the pharmacy school. So that's also, I think, a great reason to go and do it, just because like you have that advantage in the pharmacy school.
Great, thank you all. Dr. Scomo, I think I'm going to pitch this question to you. What percentage of students in the pre-professional stage continue on to the professional phase by making all the requirements? And for those who don't make it, what options are available?
Very good. So we have something called the Early Assurance Program here in the School of Pharmacy. So for our pre-professional students who meet those certain requirements, if they successfully complete an interview, so they complete the interview process, which occurs during their second pre-professional year, then they're guaranteed admission into the professional phase. Okay. So students who do not meet the criteria for the early assurance, however, but are still completing those requirements for the program, the vast majority, and I'd say over the past couple of years, it's been at least 95%, do make it into the professional phase. Now, if we have students who don't make it into the professional phase, again, those are very few students who don't. But if we do have students who don't, then there are options across the university. So when you think about it, those first 2 years of pre-pharmacy, they are setting students up to be able to actually go into other majors that they may be interested in other schools in the university. So they're going to be completing all of their core curriculum, or as the university has recently updated, all of the Bridges curriculum, as well as a lot of science requirements and so on that are requirements for other programs here in the university. So there's multiple options, and the pre-professional advisor, Julie Mihalsik, she will guide students on what different opportunities they would have if they do not move into the professional phase of the pharmacy program.
Great, thank you very much. Let's see. Oh, this one for Cheryl. Can you use the pharmacy degree for similar job opportunities outside of a pharmacy?
Yeah, so this is actually something I'm really excited to talk about. This is something IPHO, the industry organization, really focuses on. There are a lot of different opportunities for someone with the PharmD. You don't have to just work at a Rite Aid or work at a hospital. A lot of the drug companies offer very different positions. You could work in marketing, research, clinical development. A lot of pharmacists in the industry are medical science liaisons. And having a PharmD in those kind of job positions really puts you at an advantage. You're the clinical drug expert. There's no way a drug can come into development without, the knowledge and background that your degree provides. And you have such an advantage in those career opportunities to be useful for a company, and to just, if that's not what you want to do, if you don't want to work in retail or you don't want to work in a hospital, those aren't the only options for someone with a PharmD. You can do a lot of different things.
Right, so industry, research and development, huge areas. Medical science liaison, these are folks that interface between the products available through a drug company and providing professional information to prescribers. So not really doing sales work, but being able to provide a lot of very important information to those practitioners and providers based on research, development, and so forth. We have managed care organizations. Pharmacists can work in managed care. So managed care, if you're familiar with that, really helps to deal with insurers, making sure that patients are able to get their medications, developing formularies, developing best practice. So looking at population-based care. So that would not be a traditional pharmacy setting that you might be thinking about, where the pharmacist interacts directly with an individual patient.
Dr. Astle, can I just piggyback something else on here as well? Yeah, so I mean, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that pharmacy degree gives you so many different opportunities and things that you wouldn't even think of, because, again, people think about pharmacists being in the community pharmacy or pharmacists being in the hospital. There are so many different opportunities. Another opportunity that hasn't been brought up yet, that we've had a lot of students get involved in, is many of our students have interest in business aspects of pharmacy, business and operations, and so on and so forth. So we also have an opportunity for the dual PharmD MBA degree as well. So that's a fantastic opportunity. And there's multiple jobs and different things that pharmacists can do out in the world that has to do more with business and operations. And I know we have a lot of students and a lot of alums who have gotten into that particular arena out into the business world. In addition, there's all these opportunities we talk about, and our students, they understand these opportunities because through various courses, particularly our continuous professional development course series, we have alums, we have practitioners, we have pharmacists who are in all these different roles, all these different career paths, come in and talk to our students and let them know about, what their job is, and how they got there. So those are great for our students to learn about as well.
Right, and in those courses, we do career preparation as well. So we assist students in building a CV, a resume. We provide them with interviewing tips. We host a panel of folks who come in and talk about, they're actually people who do the hiring and the employment, and they let our students know what kinds of questions they might anticipate on an interview. We give them practice interview opportunities. We have folks come in and talk to them about how to prepare for postgraduate residency and fellowship program. So we help in career preparation as well. I am going to let Melanie comment because she is enrolled in the MBA program while being enrolled in the PharmD program. And before I pitch that to her, I also want to mention, and thank you, Dr. Scomo, for mentioning some of these other opportunities, but we have a lot of our graduates who are now employed by the FDA. So we have opportunities in public health service as well that you might normally not think of as a traditional career setting or practice setting. So yeah, one of the things that I love about the pharmacy degree is there are so many different opportunities available. So Melanie, would you like to comment on your enrollment in the dual degree program, please?
Yeah, so I applied to the MBA program last year, which was my first professional year, and I started classes over the summer. So I took 6 credits over the summer, and I'll take 6 again this summer, and then I'll graduate from pharmacy school in 2023 in May, and then that August I'll finish with my MBA. And I just wanted to do it because I don't really know what I want to do, but I'm thinking I might want to go into like business or industry. And I just think like having an MBA with my PharmD would be like beneficial because the opportunity was available. So yeah, I just take business classes in the summer. It fits well with the pharmacy schedule. And yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. I know that, and we have time for a few more questions, but we are getting a little bit closer to time. The time went by so very quickly. In the chat, I am going to provide you with an email address for Mr. Jason Stack. Mr. Stack is our Director of Recruitment and Admissions. You may meet him today throughout this program. If you have any questions that we were not able to handle today or didn't have an opportunity to get to, or you know how it is, right? After the session concludes, you think, geez, I wanted to ask that last question and it only occurred to me now. So I know that's going to happen and we're very happy to answer those questions for you. So if you would please send them directly to him, he will make sure that the question gets pitched to the right person and we will get back to you and provide you with that response. All right, so for any of our students, and maybe one of the students in the, well, no, I'm gonna leave this open. Any of our students can answer this one. What has been your most challenging class?
That's a fun question. So coming into pharmacy school, I feel like you hear horror stories of these classes, but honestly, in my personal opinion, the first professional year is like all foundational classes. You're learning about medicinal chemistry, you're learning about the human body, pharmacy calculations, and all that fun stuff. That honestly was probably the hardest for me because coming into your second professional year, it's all therapeutics. You're learning about all the different drugs. And I thought that was so much more interesting for me. So I took a better interest, got my grades a lot better coming into the second year. But I would say the first year was definitely the hardest with all the foundational work. And even in the pre-professional phase, OCHEM, you're going to hear horror stories about that too, but you'll be fine. Just take it a day at a time and time management and study, always study.
So Kaye, can you talk about maybe what some of the most challenging classes have been, maybe even in particular for this audience in the pre-professional program?
See, there's just not one hardest class, there's like multiple of them. So like the pre-professional phase, Gen Chem and OChem definitely were not my cup of teas, and they made me question being a pharmacist. I was like, why am I going into pharmacy if chem is not my thing? But once you get past that and you like actually get into the pharmacy, you're like, oh, more chemistry. But but it's fine because you can do it. I would say like this year being a professional year one, a junior, Sudex 2, HPP and HPP2, those are like really, like HPP is the human body that Skylar was talking about, and Sudex is just more Gen Chem with drugs. And I was just like, no. Because there's so many formulas you have to memorize, like all these equations, and it's just all the concepts, and I'm just like, oh my God, there's so much. But if you like really put in the work and you study and you come up with different study habits, you cannot study the same for every class. And I learned that because I had one particular study habit, and it doesn't work for every class. So once you get into your groove and figure out how to study for for all your different classes, you'll be a-okay. And make sure you ask your professors all of the questions that you have, even if you think it's a stupid question, because I'm quite sure at least 3 other people are thinking that same stupid question that you are, so therefore it's not a stupid question. And law and ethics wasn't fun either, because that was just a lot of law, and I just don't like having it all thrown at me, and they're like, all right, take a test. And I was like, no. But you'll be fine, you know. Life.
Yeah, don't despair. The vast majority of our students do just fine in the coursework. I do have to tell you though, and I can speak to this because I oversee our academic support program. So we offer a lot of support to our students. First of all, in the pre-professional years, there is tutoring support available through the university. Once you're in the professional phase, we provide support in the professional phase of the program as well. So we offer once a week group tutoring sessions for the foundational science courses that Kaye was speaking about. These would include human physiology and pathology, pharmaceutics, biochemistry, and calculations. In addition to that, we have individual one-on-one tutoring available through our pharmacy organization, our Pharmacy Honor Society. So this program is run by our own professional phase students who offer one-on-one tutoring. We also have group exam review sessions that, in addition to those led by our instructors, are also led by ROCI. So we have multiple touch points with our students, providing the kind of support that they need to be successful in their coursework.
Also, can I just add really quickly, another thing that I loved about Duquesne was the fact that our professors kind of have this open door policy. If you are walking around that floor in Mellon, all of our professors usually have their doors open and welcome students to come in for office hours. So just stop in for a question, just to say hi. You really are going to develop relationships with your professors throughout your years in pharmacy school. And I think that is something that is unique to Duquesne. I can consider some of my professors my friends at this point because I've stopped into their office, talked to them about different problems that I'm having just with school and with coursework, and they're there to help you. And they make that very evident throughout your years in pharmacy school.
I can answer these questions very quickly. What is the average number of students enrolled? How many students graduate? So in our day pathway program, which you all would be applying for, we have anywhere between 130 to 150 students enrolled in those classes. I think that gives you an idea of the average number. We also have an online PharmD program pathway for students who already have earned a degree. So they are typically older students who already have a bachelor's degree. We've got about another 20 to 25 in that particular program. So that gives you an overview. And I know there was a question about the dual MBA program. When do you apply for it? So it would not be sophomore year. It would be at the end or in the spring semester of your second professional year. So it would be in your 4th year of the program. All right, well, very good. I think we're up against time. I want to thank all of you. If there are any remaining questions that we didn't get to, please send those to Jason Stack. His email address is in the chat box for you. And I wish you well today, and as you explore your opportunities and as you finish up your last year in high school. So wishing all of you the very best. We hope to see you in the fall.
Yes, thank you everyone so much for attending. Thank you.
Thanks.